something I've worked with a long time, but when you look back to, I was born a wee girl when I was supposed to be a wee boy, to a woman who was heartbroken after having a child 5 years previous, having 3 miscarriages and then a wee boy that died. I was born into that trauma. I was born into that. So, you know, my mum kind of looked at me and went, that's not a wee boy.
Where's my wee boy? Yeah.
So the first thing I've felt is rejection. I don't want you. Like, put it back. Like, I want a wee boy. So, do you know, there's a lot about that, and no matter how much work I've done, like I remember when I was doing my cognitive behavioural therapy training and coming home, and do you know, like my husband, who has been a huge part of my recovery and a huge part of who I am now, do you know, he was saying, Viv, do you think this is the right thing for you? Like, you're coming home. I was driving home from Banbridge and couldn't see for tears some weeks. Like, oh my God, I'm not going back. And then the next week, like, oh my God, I need to go back, because that was so cathartic. I just managed to get rid of so much stuff. NLP was the one thing, some of it I found difficult to understand and get my head around. Mm-hmm. The girl that I trained with, Emma James, is fantastic, highly educated, and just a brilliant human being. But she used to always say, you know, Viv, I can see that you're totally away. Just sit back, allow yourself just to take this in at an unconscious level, because I can see, she says, my face was a cross between I'm going to punch you in the mouth and I haven't got a clue what you're talking about. But NLP for me was one of the ones that every single time I went and every single thing I read, I was like, oh my God, of course that's why that's happening. Yeah. So there was loads of light bulb moments. There was loads of, right, okay, oh my God, right, so that means that, so that's because of that, oh my God, like, and I was able to then start to change the programming, because you see, between 0 and 7 is our imprint stage, and we take in from the world what other people show us, and we take it in as ours, and we make decisions about ourselves, other people, and the world in general based on what the input we have in that space of time. So lots of different things, you know. I've been on a massive roller coaster, but now I'm at the point where I'm like, you know, there's nothing now that kind of phases me. There's nothing that, almost to the point the other week there I was thinking, have I became really numb? And then I cried at an advert on the TV and I was like, nah, I'm not numb. I'm not numb. I'm not. But it's just because, you know, I think because I can speak in the way I do about the experiences I've had, but it's because they're my experiences, and they don't drive me, or
it's that acceptance that they're part of you, but not you're defining.
And even at, like, you know, in terms of like the one-to-one work that I do, I mean, I hear some really horrendous stories, and you know, in people's experiences, humans can be so cruel, but it's because they're trying to get away from their pain, and by getting away from their pain, they inflict pain on other people, and it becomes this cycle of abuse, this cycle of control, this cycle of power, this cycle of whatever it is. But one thing that I have learned of all is, like, the more flexible you can be with your behaviour, and the more flexible you can be in your thinking, the more opportunities you have, the more choice you have. And a lot of us feel that we don't have a choice. We have our back against the wall, or a lot of us point out this way, well, I'm like this because you're like that, and you've done this to me, and well, no wonder I'm a drinker, my mum was a drinker, my granny was a drinker, or no wonder I'm whatever, do you know. But for me, finding the darkness early on, and finding real kind of darkness when I was a kid and sort of growing up, as soon as a wee chink of light came in, it was then like, oh my goodness, like, it then allowed me to see how dark things had actually became, because up until then I was just kind of navigating myself around, well, I didn't know, because everybody else dictated what it was. Where now letting that light in is almost like that light in my mind that's like, no, actually I can see where this is going now, and the power of the word no, I've learned no, which is great.
And what's it like as the wellness consultant to see the effects that your training and consultation and workshops and stuff have on other people? I mean, take us through what that process for you is like, because it must be amazing to just...
I love it.
Yeah.
I was just recently delivering mental health first aid in a school setting, and you know, there was people in the school, you know, from there was teachers, there was parents, there was, you know, it was from all kind of aspects of the school. And there's a part in it which looks at how do we create our own mental health, because, you know, every second of every day we're met by so much information. We couldn't possibly, as I was saying to you earlier, if you typed into Google, you know, if you can imagine your mind's Google and you were to type in, tell me everything I know, it would be like, what are you talking about?
Be that emoji with a head explode.
Exactly. Or if you were to type in, tell me all the information that's coming in right now. So we can only pay attention to a select amount of information. So if we believe I am vulnerable, other people are unreliable, and the world's a dangerous place, when we have anything from 2 million upwards pieces of information to pay attention to, we can only actually pay attention to 134 bits of that 2 to however many, 2 million to however many billions. We can create a space that keeps us vulnerable, other people dangerous, and the world...
Because it's the familiar, so we're looking out for that familiar then?
That's it. So we're looking out to find the things in other people that we believe about ourselves, or that we, in situations. So for, like, I remember working with young people when I worked in Scotland, and I remember we put up the word fear on the board. And I was like, fear can mean fear, or it can mean face everything and rise. And one of the young guys who was in the care system at the time says, well, for me it means fuck everything and run. And I was just like, there's your fight or flight. Yeah. Face everything and rise, or fuck everything and run. And sometimes, like, and going back to, working in the school setting, explaining how we create our world and how things then happen and how we can then create our beliefs and how that then create, because we have an input that comes in from external, from everything here. We then create our version of it internally. We then have an output, and our output is our behaviour.
Seeing those light bulb moments in the groups, and especially with kids, I mean, it must just be totally mind-blowing.
Brilliant. It's brilliant. Again, I'm working with young lads, and working on a one-to-one and just chatting with them and I would use quite a lot of conversational hypnosis when I'm speaking with people. And by that, I mean, if you can get people to go, yes, you get people to say yes 3 times, what you're doing is you're bypassing the part of their brain that has resistance. Okay. So you're bypassing the part of their brain that's going, that's a little up. No, I'm not believing that. That part of but that's there to keep them safe. We need that resistance. We need that. It's called the critical faculty barrier. And it's the bit that judges right. It's the bit that judges, there's the perfect word for it. So it'll tell you what's right, what's wrong, what's safe, what's dangerous, what's good, what's bad. And it's constantly making judgments to, do I believe that? Am I going to accept that?
And it's probably making a lot of snap judgments, a lot of the time.
That's it. So, but it's just, and even, as I say, working in a one-to-one setting with somebody who's just like, because working with them another day there, and she was just like, yeah. Like the whole time when I was talking, and I have a flip chart, and I was going through things on the flip chart, so people, because we all process things, like some of us are really driven by what we see, some of us are really driven by what we hear, some of us are driven by what we feel, some of us. So when I'm doing my first session with people and introducing them to the work that I'll do, I'll tell them about how things can enable them to feel, how things can enable them to see, how things can enable them to hear. So dependent on, they'll link into one of them and they'll be like, that makes perfect sense to me. Nobody's ever spoken to me like that before.
Yeah.
I get that.
Those light bulb moments are amazing. I remember my mum was a counsellor for 30 years, and I rang her up. And of course, obviously, when you're a counsellor's children, nothing is ever bad. So I rang her up, I was having a meltdown, I was crying on the phone, and she just stopped me and she went, look, I don't have time for this, but what I need to tell you is they're your emotions, your feelings, and if you're going to let somebody else determine how you feel or how you react, well, that's your problem, not theirs. And I was all like, and she was like, that's all you need to know. And once you know that, that's it, done. And she hung up the phone on me.
No, exactly.
And I remember coming off the phone, and I hated her in that moment. I was like, don't care about me. I was like 21 or something. And then when I thought about it, it's like, oh, she's right. They're my feelings and my emotions, and I make that decision. And if I choose to be offended or whatever it is, but that one phone call changed my outlook on so many things, and it was amazing that just how that understanding that the decision is yours to make. And okay, it's not that simple for everyone. I was lucky in that I was the kind of person who was like, oh, hold on a second. Maybe she's right. Still hate her though. Maybe she's right,
That's it. And it's how there's when there's an emergency situation, you have, so if someone reacts to an emergency situation, they run a bit going, oh my god, this has happened, oh my god, what do we do? If someone responds, in an emergency situation, we have emergency responders. We have first responders.
In the family, I'm the firefighter. I'm the one that goes, okay, right, hold on a second.
That's a response.
Let's just do this. Let's just do
That's
that. And everybody else flapping around.
That's it. And if you even just tell yourself that, from now on I will respond. What would be the benefit if I responded to things? What you're then doing is you're asking, what if? So your unconscious mind's going, oh, here's an opportunity to do something. What if I responded to things? Well, a response is a measured approach. A reaction is I'm in the moment. This is what.
Yeah.
So would it be beneficial for me to respond to things from now on? So by in response, because we are so often feel like we are being driven by other people. Because people say, it's not what you said, it's the way you said it. Yeah. So what is wrong with the way they said that? If somebody else said exactly the same sentence but used a different tone of voice, used a different pace of voice, used a different cadence, timbre, but is it because when you were growing up, your dad spoke to you in that tone of voice when he was feeling annoyed and cross with you, your mum was cross with you, your teacher spoke to you in that tone of voice and you hated that teacher.
Yeah.
So, and you know how sometimes they'll go, oh, that person just really grinds my gears.
Yeah.
Regardless of what, they could be being nice to you and you still walk away going,
and you get those people that walk into a room and just them walking into the room and breathing can annoy sometimes.
Absolutely. And that's because of the resemblance that they have, because we constantly compare and contrast information in this moment,
because you have to find something that's familiar to link it to.
Exactly.
So how did you go from being this kid who thought they were stupid, this woman who decided to abuse drugs and alcohol or whatever, to a woman who was investing in hydroease? How did that happen? Was it as a result of the training? Was it as a result of all the therapy you were doing or was it that you became so determined?
It was a result of working with the inner critic. It was a result of saying that something needs to change. It was a result of making that decision that, I can do this. And even if I can't, I'm going to have a good time trying. Yeah. And I think I'd read... when I started volunteering for the charity, I then started working. So I volunteered for Move On, which is a charity based in Edinburgh, a really successful charity. And I volunteered for them. Within 6 months, I was a paid member of staff. Within a year, I was a project coordinator. And just the value in seeing these young people who were in the care system, and it really made me go, my goodness, this could have been me. Yeah. And it then I was then kind of like, I maybe never had the most amazing growing up. I maybe never had the biggest material stuff, because we never, I grew up in a council estate, we never really had much, but what I did grow up with was with a sense of belonging and a sense of, do you know what, this family might be really fucked up, but it's my family. And it was really, and my dad was kind of like, he married my mum in the days where it was in sickness and in health, it was for good, it was for bad, and regardless of what happened, he always stayed there. And my dad's very grounding and very level, but he's also very my dad's like, never get ideas above your station, never think you're better than anybody else, and he would always say, why do you always want to go and be more than, can you not just, you're from a wee village and you're just a wee person?
He must know my part.
And it was kind of like, oh my goodness, why do you always can you not just be happy with it? And it's like, I want to know what I'm capable of, I want to know what is in here. So I think, I then, I moved from the village that I worked in my village that I'd grown up in, because there was so much there that everybody felt they had a bit of me. Yeah. And I was anti to the village, and people would think nothing to come into my house at 4 o'clock in the morning when they're maybe having an affair with somebody and they've nowhere to go, or they maybe left their husband and they're bringing their kids, because I never really judged anybody. I never, and it was always... It was like, when you're at your Auntie Viv's, there was always a bottle of vodka, a joint, a cup of tea, something to eat. It was just a safe place. But it wasn't safe for me, because it was everybody was invading this space. So I then moved about 3 miles away. Massive, huge move. Yeah. And I stayed there for about 4 years, and then I got back in touch with Tommy. Tommy I'd met in 2002, and I went around for about maybe a few months. And he just fell. First time he met me, and he always says the first time he set eyes on me, he just fell in love with me the minute he met me. And but for me, it was too good to be true. So I done what any good self-sabotager does, and I dumped him right away. So he was offering, we could have this life together, and I was like, fuck fuck off, mate. Like, I've only known you like 5-6 weeks. So dumped him, and then told